Okay, here we go. I got another Mighty WOC on the show. I've been trying to get her. She's over there working out, doing her workouts and everything. So, Coach, how is it going out there in Waco?
Hey, it is going really well. Like you said, some of my favorite times is when we get a chance to get in the gym and get some individual workouts with some of our players. So I'm working out with the post players. So I just had a couple of individual workouts. So it's been good.
Is that your specialty? This post?
Yeah, and over my career, I have worked with post and wings, but as an assistant coach. But yeah, I love working with the big girls.
Okay. You guys got like I say, I know you're a roster hands out, so I've been looking at it. I know you got a few good long girls that can go, and a couple bigs there. You lost a big yet last year from Colorado, but
Yeah.
overall, you guys are long and athletic.
Hmm.
So I think you'll do well in the Big 12, man. So, well, you've been in this game for 20 years now, or more.
Or
You
more.
know, you said, oh, more. Take me back when you said you wanted to be a coach. That was, I know, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I got you. I did my homework. So,
Okay, so to be honest with you, I did
yeah.
not want to be a coach. So,
What?
I'm a math major. I wanted to be an accountant. I love working with numbers. You know what you get with numbers. I always say, you know what you get with numbers. You never know what you're gonna get with 18 to 22-year-olds. But with numbers, one plus one is always two. Numbers not gonna roll their eyes, not gonna talk back, not gonna pop them lips. You know what you're gonna get. So, early on, I was not trying to be a coach, but what I did after grad school is I would go back in my neighborhood and I would get kids and work them out and take them to different places and have try to have them to try out so that they can get a scholarship. Just trying to help some of these kids get out of the hood.
Uh
And
huh. That was the hood of Arkansas, right?
Little Rock, yeah, little just trying to help them get out of the hood. But um, I was taking this one kid. Um, she did not have a very supportive. She wasn't getting that type of support from her mom, didn't know her dad. So I would go and rent out a gym and work her out. And I called a coach, and this was Lewis Horton at UA Fort Smith. It was West Ark back then. So I called. He was one of the coaches I called, and we met him for lunch. And they were talking. He's talking to the kid. I'm trying to get him to let her come to the gym and try out because she was
Uh
really.
huh.
And so in the middle
Yeah.
of the conversation, he was like, "Hold it, who the hell are you?" And I was like, "Coach, I'm nobody. I'm just trying to help this kid get this opportunity, and she is a player that can help you." And so he said, "I don't know if she's any good or not. I'm willing to give her a tryout, but I would definitely like for you to come and apply because he said you have convinced me that she can play." He said, "And I believe you'll be a really good recruiter."
I was
And
just going to say, that
yeah,
must have been a start to your recruiting because you are a good recruiter.
that was the start. But initially I told him no. But when I went back and I talked to my mom, um, you know, and she was like, "Well, why did you say no?" And I was like, "Well, that's not for me. That's not what I want to do. I have a soft voice, and until I get a little ticked off,
Yeah.
actually I have a soft voice. So
I heard you can drop it a little bit.
when I have to. But she said, "But what if this is what your calling is? What if this is what God have for you?" She was like, "You don't have to coach like anybody else. You don't have to sound like anybody else. You don't have to talk like anybody else. All you have to do is be authentically who God made you to be, and you'll be successful in that." And it has been such an amazing journey.
Hmm.
You're gonna listen to your mom. So I went down for the interview, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been doing this now. I'm starting my 26.
26 years. Your mom still with you now?
No, she passed away. She actually passed away in 2020.
Okay.
She was 92 years old.
Whoa. That
Yes,
was a good life.
yeah, that was
That's a
it.
good life.
My mom and
Well, tell me this. You,
my dad passed away and he was 95. My mom was 92.
oh my God, they lived in longevity. I hope I can get that far, boy. I hope I do. I hope I don't know if I want to live 90, 95. I don't know if I have enough money to last that long, but shoot, I try. I'd be great. Hey, but you've been a part of some historical programs, some big time stuff. And what lessons have you taken from each stop? And
You
does
know,
that live in your coaching? Is that in your coaching? Any of it still in your DNA?
yes, absolutely. I learned, you know, I learned to be prepared. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but again, I learned to be myself, not to go in and try to be somebody else, to be myself. And, for me, that is to nurture growth because that's how I started. To nurture growth, to share a light, to lead with love. That's just who I am. And, I want to be someone that someone that empower every soul that I got to become
Ooh,
greater,
preach,
greater than they dream.
preach.
And that's just not our players. That's our GAs. That's our managers. Whatever your dream is, I want you to be greater than that
Mm-hmm.
dream, greater than you think.
Sound like a servant.
It's you know what a servant leader. I think
Yeah.
naturally that's who I am. That's who my mom was. That's who my dad was. So
All
that's
right.
what it looked like every day of my life.
Okay. That's good stuff, man. I'm getting to know some things about you. That's really good. So tell me this though, how have you evolved? Not just coach, as a coach, but as a WOC, but as a WOC, a woman of color, and a mentor to young athletes, especially the WOCs over this last decade. How have you evolved?
Just in building relationship, understanding that it is bigger than basketball,
Oh
and
yeah.
be able to create those life lessons that we have for them. Now, the fact that, um, you know, like I always have to go back to my mom and dad, and one of the things that I heard pretty much every day of my life is Philippians 4:13, and been able to cut down a lot of nets, and in every ring I have, Philippians 4:13 is engraved inside of it.
All
Um,
right.
because
So I know you know it by heart then.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens.
Yes. I was gonna go put you on the spot, but you made me because I know that one too. So
Oh,
one of my ex-players, he put it on his arm. I
yeah.
could do all things through
Um,
Christ who
I've
strengthens
been,
me.
I've had a player, actually, Danielle Adams, who was the MVP of the national championship in 2011 when we won it at Texas A&M. She has that uh, on her arm.
Who's your coach? Oh, that was Blair.
That was Gary Blair.
Yeah.
Yep,
So you was with Vaughn. I saw her in Chicago. Coach
yep.
Vaughn was on that staff.
Coach Kelly Bond, Vic
Kelly.
Schaefer,
Yeah.
and myself. Yep, we
Yeah.
were.
I saw her in Chicago, and she's coming on the show too.
Yes, yes. That's
So that's good stuff.
but
Who was
when
your people in Arkansas?
hmm?
You were on the staff in Arkansas
I
too.
was not on their staff at Arkansas. I was at UA Fort Smith when they were at
Fort
Arkansas,
Smith. Okay.
and then when they went to Texas A&M, I after that I went to NC State, and then I came back to Arkansas, and
And
then I
who
went
was at NC State with you, head coach?
KL.
Oh my God, I was at her thing in Fort.
Listen,
Oh,
really interesting story about KL. So I was at UA Fort Smith. My very first recruiting class was ranked number one in the country. I had 6 All-Americans on that class. So when they came in as freshmen,
mhm.
those kids, we were playing a game, and Kay Yao came to our gym. I had never met her before. She came to our gym and she was recruiting a team that we were playing against. It was a team that was ranked. This was in February.
Mhm.
After the game, and we beat them with those freshmen. And after the game, she came up to me and she said, I was watching you. And she said, you remind me so much of yourself, of myself.
Ah,
She said, I have a soft voice, you have a soft voice. But she said, what, your play, you have their ear. and what you say is so impactful. They have that respect for you. And
Wow.
she told me, don't let anybody tell
Check
you
that
that
out.
because you have a soft voice, you can't be an effective coach, because you can.
Yeah.
It's a matter of making sure that they listen, that they hear you.
But I hear you can jump. I hear you can drop a few though.
Yeah.
I got some people tied in. I know. I hear you can drop a few when you get upset.
That's probably one of the ways I have evolved. You know, it's not, it takes a little less to get me there, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but in order for me to get there, you have to take me there. And I think my patience have drawn a little, you know, I'm not quite as patient as I used to be, but
Well, that's covered. Patience is a virtue, right?
it is, you
Well,
know.
I'm glad you brought up Kate because I was at their function in where were we at the last Final Four, and we
Hmm.
ended up going over to their little luncheon they had, and it was really nice. It's
Yeah.
at Fort Lauderdale. Yeah,
Yes, at the KL Foundation.
yeah, yep. It was
I've
really
always
good.
donated, during February. You have the Think Pink games, and
Yeah,
I would always donate 3, $5 or whatever for every student we get to a game, and I would take that and donate it to the KL Foundation. So,
well, that's good stuff. You're giving back, so
hey,
well,
she a
yeah.
lot to me. That was a very special lady, and she is a person that led with her heart. She led with love. She was impactful. Never heard her scream, but had some of the most intense practices you ever want to be a part of.
Well, she's definitely the backbone of women's basketball to this day, and a lot of people are getting everything that they have based upon standing on her shoulders, and some other
Absolutely,
ones with Pat and all the other. I'm gonna
absolutely.
just say it. I'm from the street, so OGs.
Oh,
They OGs. They original gangsters.
absolutely, absolutely.
So you definitely, but you know what? Let's get on something too a little lighthearted. What excites you most about being at Baylor? This is your first year there, and how do you plan on putting your handprint on it and all those young players there? And I know where you came from because I followed you a lot.
Hmm.
But what excites you about Waco and Baylor?
First of all, back in Texas. So always excited to be in Texas. But I tell you what, just the atmosphere, the environment, the support from the administration is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing. And in this day and time, you have to have support from your administration, and you know
Absolutely.
in firsthand um, what that looked like, and being able to get out there and work with these players who are hungry. I love our team. I love our coaching staff. I think the chemistry is really good on both parts. I think, and you have to have really good chemistry with your coaches. And I've always been a part of coaching staff that had really good chemistry. But those players have to see what it looked like. They have to, we tell them to work hard. They have to see us working hard. We tell
Working hard. Oh
them
yeah.
they need to see us doing extra. And so you have that here at Baylor. You have, the fan support is absolutely amazing. Beautiful facility.
Facilities. They just built
Yes,
that place is new. So
yes.
yeah.
And
What
just even Waco, like Waco has really come a
grown
long
too. I
way. And
tell you, it has. I moved out here 14 years ago,
yeah,
and Waco has changed a lot.
yes, it has.
So yeah, well, I know it's important to have a good coach. You don't want to go to work and don't like your people that you work with.
Oh my,
That doesn't work. That's
we,
not gonna be good. You don't
we
like
have the best time. As a matter of fact, it's hard to get work done up here in the office
it.
because we're out in the hallway talking, and a 10-minute talk or a 10-minute meeting could lead to hours. But just because we enjoy being
I
around
know. What's your sister, the other associate head coach there? Anthony is it
Tony, Tony,
Tony.
Tony.
Tony, I was at the Final Four, man. I got on the bus, and it was a small story about that. I got on the bus at the Final Four and went past the wrong spot. And, they were dropping us off and stuff. Tony gonna talk about, man, you don't drop him off here. He got to go all the way back around and stop around and drop. He can't just drop him here. I was
Oh,
like, man, what you talking about? I'm trying to get off the bus.
well, was he trying to have your back?
Yeah, he was. He was like, no, it was his stop. I had missed my stop. he was just messing with me. And
Uh,
tell him I got a nice cigar for him when I see him too,
I will tell
because
him.
he likes him some cigars too.
I
So
will do that.
well, let's get into this part of the game, and I know it's changed for you too. How has the recruiting changed for you, being a big time recruiter? Because you've had some big time girls come in at every place where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
You coming in, you can recruit. And since you started, what surprises you most about this environment of new recruiting?
Um, so with me, it's like I said, it's still really important for me to be, who I am. In this day and age, a lot of recruiting is money driven.
Oh,
It's
it's all transactional.
who
It's
can
getting there. It's gotten there.
who can come up with the biggest dollar. But for me, it's still about building relationships. It's still
Relationships,
about making
connection.
families know, making sure these players know that it's more than about basketball, because that basketball is going to stop
It's not bouncing.
at
Oh
one
yeah.
point. And you want players that want to play for a long time, but in reality of your 15 players, all of them aren't going to play in the WNBA. Now they can go overseas or whatever, but they need to be a professional in something other than basketball. They need to know um, how to function in the real world. And so
Teach and preach. Yes.
so for me, it's still about that. It's still about making sure they understand that there is a real world out there, and those are the type of players you want. You want players that want to be a pro both on and off the court, that want to have
Yeah.
that discipline, because it's hard to have it to be disciplined on the floor if you're not disciplined off the floor. But in recruiting today, and I'm not going to say everybody is like that, but there are a lot of parents that have handed over their recruiting to other people, and a lot of times it's about money. You have to play that game, to
Mm-hmm.
be. You have to play.
Other people, you mean handlers?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
got people. These girls got handlers and agents nowadays, man.
There's an
It's
age.
like, whoa, we got to get through that stuff.
They're
But
not place that's the best fit. They're going to the place where they can get, the most money. And what I am hoping is that these kids are learning how to manage that, because that's going to run out, and it's very
oh
important
yeah,
how
about
you manage that, or in a couple of years, or if you're going to a place where you're getting this money and you don't produce, what's going to happen next year?
it's
So
business.
I really believe it's important for these kids to make sure they're going to the right place where they can be successful both on and off the court.
Yeah, and money. One thing I talk to a lot of my girl dads about, and I talk to a lot of them, and we talk about a lot of the subjects you just hit on. I'm trying to tell them money don't make you happy. You can have all the money in the world and be at a place where you're miserable,
Right.
and your mental health is not right. You don't enjoy the coaching staff. It's all I don't have friends, so it can't be about money all the time. And I think the recruiters going into this new evolution of recruiting, if you don't build relationships and start educating people on this process, your
Mm-hmm.
transfer portal is going to be high all the time, because it's all about money, and it's not based upon relationship connections, values, any of those things. If they're not a part of it, it's not it. But with this new collective coming along too, it's changing. So the
It,
26 is going to have to make some
I was
adjustments.
telling someone when we took over Mississippi State, I went there with Vic Schaefer in
Yeah.
2012. So we took over a team that hadn't won a game the year before, and we signed a class, and we had four freshmen, and those four freshmen ended up in their senior year playing for a national championship. We graduated four seniors, and the very next year we played again for a national championship. But back then, you were able to recruit kids, you were able to develop them, you were able to retain them.
Mm.
You may have had a kid to leave because, you know, they wanted more playing time, or for whatever reason, but it wasn't. For the most part, you kept your core together, and you were
And,
able to.
and that's hard. That's hard in this new climate. And like I said, it's not recruiting anymore. And I've been saying this, it's roster reconstruction
It
every
is.
year. you're going to have to reconstruct your roster, and you're going to have to re-recruit the kids that are within your system. And I think from an outside looking in, being the boots on the ground type GM, you're going to have to make sure that these kids understand that you really care about them and about them. Also, the money, like we go back to that, that cannot be the foundation of why you're here. It has to be something else that keeps those kids there. But as you continue to build your roster each year, you're going to have to expect that you're going to leave somebody going over to the big transfer portal. So I get that part.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that Nikki does well here. I think she does a good job of making sure her players know that they're important. Um, making sure that they know that they are loved, making sure that they know that they are wanted. So if they do leave, it's not because that they are not having a good experience here. If they leave because of some other reason. So I really important. It's really important to do that in this day and age.
Well, I tell you now, it's going to be a part of people's contract, coaches' contract retention. What's your retention rate? But I was on the phone. My daughter's the co-host of this show too, but she somehow is not here during that time. But we were on with Brianna Cretan, and we were talking about being able to go to a place and be there for 4 years and how tough, and my daughter was saying how tough it is to do that. But when you go in there and you want to be able to be in a place like that, it cannot start with the money. It has to start with something, and the degree, and what am I going to do after the ball stops bouncing? So
yeah, I mean, we were talking about that also because once you graduate from a school, what connections have you made? So if you're at a different school every year, which Letterman jacket are you gonna put on and say, hey?
Not only that, coach, which Letterman you losing? Some of y'all losing credits every time you leave, and then you the best around here ain't been around 4 times. I was educating them on that too. I was like, well, you leave 3 times, you're gonna lose 3 units or 4 units. You still ain't graduated.
That's right, and
that's important, and that's why I don't think kids should jump around like that. I think you should, do your homework and not jump around.
And that would be my advice. Do your homework. Get somewhere where, you believe in the coaching and the culture and the coaching staff believe in you, and fall in love with the school and have some pride in it. Have some pride in your school.
Well, you old school, you know that. You old school.
Oh, yeah.
You coming from you almost an OG too. You getting there. You gonna be an OG. You 20 plus. You an OG. So, but how are you guys navigating and we'll jump off of this real quick. How are you guys navigating your NLI collective, this new one? Because the new stuff is coming out, and I've been doing some research, and I have my attorney on here. How it is handling that with your 26s and going forward in terms of their NLI package and all of that stuff. And I don't think a lot of girl dads understand that. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to do too, is educate them on that. So how are you guys navigating that process?
We are, we have a general manager that take care of all of that goes into talks with them, their family, their agents. So,
kids got agents?
Yeah, kids have agents, and so we do. We have a general manager along with Coach Nikki. They get together and they talk about how we're going to manage our roster with what we have, and what we have coming back. And that's that's kind of tricky because, like you said, if kids are jumping in the portal, sometimes you don't know what you're going to have. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to need. So I think we have done a really good job here. She has done a really good job here at Baylor at retaining players. And so going into the next year, knowing what she needs and recruiting kids that fit her system has been really important, and it has worked. So I think that's what that's what make it a little bit easier for Baylor.
Well, I think too, like I said, with the new business, the new collective, and how they have this thing trying to regulate, it's gonna kind of prevent from jumping to jumping. I think there's gonna this 300,000, 400, all that money stuff. I think it just it deteriorates the purity of basketball. To
Yeah.
me, it just deteriorates. But I think with this new stuff that they're gonna have to, everybody's only getting there. The budget is what they say 20 million, and you divide that by football's getting this, baseball's getting that, and everybody's gonna have to be able to. Uh, Especially on the women's side, your budget, you can't pay. It's going to be almost like pros. You're a free agent. I can't bring you in here and pay you more than this girl. And you hitting 6 points a game, eight rebounds. If you're going to get this kind of money, you need to be double.
Right.
So it's going to be so much more professionalized, I think, going forward.
Yeah, it is, and that's gonna be a business decision. Like you can't come in and your points per game look like a GPA and asking for all this money. It's
professional.
Business is gonna have to be a business both ways.
Yeah, you gotta it you can't have it both ways, like you just said. You can't have it both ways, and I think that'll be good in terms of putting some guardrails around this stuff. But and then we could talk about this later. And then when Title IX is looming around, that's going to pop its face up in a minute too. So don't think that that's not going to come back. And don't think that's not coming back around.
Yes, so I think it's always going to change. So you can look up and it's one way today and it'll be something else tomorrow. So we have to be able to evolve with it, with whatever we're thrown at. So, it's tough, but it's still rewarding. You still have people that's in it for the love of the game. And that's what excites me because I work with a group of people that I know is in love with the game.
That's it. That's it. I love it too. I love women's basketball. You see around the country, all this. I love women's basketball. I've started on the boys' side, but I love women's. But let's land this plane here because we'll be talking hoops all day. It's like we just vibing. I'm gonna say it. Like you, my little sister. I ain't even gonna put you on the mix.
There you go. I like that. I'll take it.
Little sister. So one thing. What's one thing that you hope young WOCs and the coaching? When I mean women of color in coaching, or they see you or watching you take away from your journey. What's one thing when they see you?
Yeah, to always give back. One of the things that I've always been, and you mentioned it early, like a servant leader. Like that's just who I am. I have a servant heart. I've always, had Zoom calls with younger coaches and have an open forum with them and have them to ask questions. Because I learned from, when you talk about the Hall of Famers that I have worked with.
I saw your resume. I just didn't put it out. I didn't have enough time.
Well, I have learned from some of the best and all of those, from Kay Yao, Lewis Horton,
Big Schaefer.
Yes, Coach, but Big Schaefer, all of them, they wanted their coaches to be the best they can be. So they put you out there, but they also nurture that growth. They also, help with that growth. And so I've always, wanted to reach out to younger coaches and help them understand what it takes, number one, to be a great assistant coach. Because I think a lot of times, we have a lot of young coaches and it's one thing to be able to get out there and do all the drills and all of that stuff and all the recruiting, but what exactly does it take to be a great assistant coach, to be what your boss needs? So I try to give that back. So I'm hoping that this younger generation hold on to some of those things that, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of seasoned coaches that give back to these younger coaches that way. And I'm hoping that they grasp that and that they play it forward. They keep it on to protect our game, because there's still a part of our game that you want to protect. You want it to, continue to be pure, and you don't want to lose that in all of the evolution that's happened. You want the
Yeah.
love of the game.
Oh,
You
most the love of the game. I tell you, you don't want to lose that. That's some good words.
yeah.
So
So I
I know
think
you busy and we got to land this plane, or we'll be doing like TD Jakes, man. We go to church. It'd be 5 o'clock when we get out because me and you sit up here talking.
absolutely.
So I appreciate you. And like I said, I know it was a little difficult getting to me, but I appreciate you giving the love. And I think you're going to help a lot of these girl dads. And I'm going to have some big time players on here. We're going to talk about Baylor a little bit and
Thank you.
what you're doing over there. And I know I'm gonna see you on in the head chair again. I can tell you that. I know that. So thank you. I appreciate everything you've done for me and being humble to me. I appreciate you and welcome and thank you. And have a good time in Waco. If you need me for anything, don't hesitate.
Absolutely.